Neo, I need to tell you about the elder brain. Oh, wait, I mean, the feminine social order. We're talking about it today.
Get unplugged.
Today, we're talking about the feminine social order and social conventions that go ahead and keep it intact.
The elder brain behind it all.
The elder brain, indeed. Shoot. I mean, we can go ahead and have like the little intellective hours. Go. Oh my gosh, there's that might be a thing. Man, I might have to incorporate that when we actually start talking.
I did a thing.
Yeah, so like white nights are intellective hours. They just kind of come and get you to stop thinking.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, thinking is dangerous. All right, so today we're talking about social conventions. These are things that are useful in keeping the feminine social order intact. And we're going to talk through operative social conventions, some conventions that are used by average frustrated chumps, the paradox of commitment, and bitter misogynists. So bitter. Because if you go ahead and have anything against women, apparently, hey, it's bitter misogyny. It's not, hey, there's actually some things that need to be addressed on both sides of that equation. Because, whoa, accountability is crazy talk. Let's go ahead and start off with operative social conventions. The shallow effect is probably the first thing to really address on this, where anytime a dude expresses preferences for like body types or what he finds to be appealing, whether or not he likes long hair or whether he likes dresses or anything like that, a lot of times his preferences are derided as being shallow. What do you think about that?
Just like with fat shaming, that's one of the things that they throw out. Oh, you're just fat shaming a woman. That's never okay. No, it's just preferences. It's like, let's flip the script. And if you say this man is too short.
Yeah, he's just not tall enough to meet your standards.
He's too short. And that is actually something that they can't control.
Yeah.
It's interesting because these women want people who are like tall and certain build and all of that stuff, but then they don't want to tolerate somebody else's preference for something that they can control.
Do you think that comes from not wanting to be disqualified?
Yeah, it comes from outward facade that we're all special, we're all beautiful, whatever. Just so, I mean, really that I'm the prettiest one and you can stay that way so you don't have to compete with you.
Sure, or you go ahead and have like the cheerleader effect where you have a group of chicks and you know that there's one that's the prettiest in that friend group, and then the prettiest one just pretends that everybody else is on the same wavelength.
Teen Girl Squad.
Oh yeah, all of that kind of thing.
The ugly one. They even had one and they came out. It's so interesting that, you know, even when we were teenagers, they would just come out and say it. But now, like exactly one generation later, and you can't say that kind of thing.
Sure. And it's interesting when you go ahead and talk more about the shallow effect. Preferences for somebody that doesn't have children, for example, so somebody who's not a single mom, is looked at as shallow. And it's like, some man's got to go ahead and step up and take responsibility for this kid.
I had like 15 kids.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like talking about like her food stamps aren't enough. Somebody got to pay for all these kids. It's like, where are they daddies?
Right.
Where are they daddies? Where are they?
How come you didn't keep their daddies?
It's like, then they're yours.
Sure. And then I think I see this a lot, how people get bent out of shape when dudes that are really successful, that are in their like mid to late 30s, and women expect themselves to get picked if they're in their middle to late 30s. It turns out that those guys...
Oh, they're so immature. They're not emotionally intelligent.
Well, not only that, but like the guys that are successful and on their game aren't looking for the chicks in their late 30s to go ahead and settle down with. Those guys are looking for the younger generation, and they get shamed for it.
Yeah.
Throughout society.
Can I say the weird thing?
Go for it.
Those guys who are going somewhere and doing things in their 20s when they have the most energy, the most, ambition, the most vigor, and honestly, the world hasn't fully like stamped its boot on them. They're too busy looking for Mrs. Right or Mrs. whatever, my queen, in that decade. They're not. They are looking for someone in their very rare downtime to go have fun with. And they find those in spades.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time they get to their probably mid to late 30s, now they're like, well, all right, this is getting kind of playing the field and getting my game out. Like, I'm good. Like, now it's time to get serious. And then they start looking and they're like, wow, I can go anywhere and do anything, so I can look at anyone. And then all of a sudden, you have these young women going, why should I pick the little living in mom's basement, like eating Cheetos in a beanbag, when I can have this awesome mogul go show me the world?
Well, yeah, like,
why?
from the young woman's perspective, why would they go ahead and build something with somebody when they can go ahead and wait for somebody that's already been assembled and wait for them at the finish line and pick them up there?
Those true cheerleader types, that's what they're doing. They're actually going after these higher guys and whatever. And the women's social order, anything below that, they have duped into those kind of Beauty and the Beast tropes where they can find this average dude and change him. Oh, I can change him. This is where you see the game played more to the disservice of men. Absolutely.
You think
Like,
so?
infinitely more.
I think that for the most part, average dudes are just not getting play right now. And I think a lot of the women that are in the average crowd are really going for 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s.
Well, definitely not. It's not a huge amount of these people, but the ones who do see action are the ones who get duped into this whole, like, oh, going to be talking about / have been talking about these dudes who do just enough to hook a girl.
Okay.
And then they're spending the rest of their lives in this cycle of, let me do just enough good stuff for to have, please give.
For to have the intimacy, please. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a really terrible cycle for both men and women to be stuck in.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times
It's miserable. It's sad and it's miserable.
Sure. Whereas, like, the guys, they could be putting in the hard work, but it seems like they have grown content with, hey, let me do just enough. Let me get enough to get by and then live a mediocre life. Which, don't get me wrong. Hey, if you want to live a mediocre life, by all means, go for it. But the flip side of that is you have a woman that thought that she was going to be able to take a lump of clay and fix him. And it turns out that a lot of times that doesn't work out because they have to want it for themselves too.
Well, at the time they bag him with getting a ring, getting married, and all of that stuff, even if they do seemingly succeed, then the mask falls and they're in that cycle of, like, this is not what I thought. This is not who this person was when I married him. Well, of course not. He just was doing it enough to get this situation. But now you're getting people who are literally, like, in this downward crazy spiral of just trying to do enough to get what they want rather than having partners who are doing things and moving in a direction. They're just going round and round. And it's sad.
Right. So now back to the whole idea of being shallow. I'll point out 3 categories of women. We've already talked about 2 of them a little bit. So we talked about single moms and older women and how they shame men for not picking them based on whatever circumstances, but also like career women. So women that have gone into the careers and they've spent their time becoming female captains and they wonder why they are not being pursued by the men that they would want. And they blame it on the guys for being shallow for going after the class of 25. Right? Not literally the class of 25, but you understand what I'm getting at is, hey, look, it turns out every year there's a new crop of 18-year-olds. It's just what it is. And heck, we're probably going to go ahead and get some hate comments for even just saying that. Like, oh, that's predatory. It's like, no, it's pragmatic. Hey, if you want to have a stable family lifestyle, it turns out that for guys that have put in the work, it is much better for them on average to get with people that have less baggage And it's just one of those fact of life that on average, in your youth, you're going to have less baggage.
The demographic is that age group.
Sure. And the thing is, you're going to have more time in your fertility window. You're going to have more time to do a lot of things in that like age cohort, right? And like, I'm not saying that, hey, 40-year-olds should intentionally be hunting 18-year-olds. I'm more of the mindset that the Spanish tradition's a pretty good one, where you take half your age plus 7, and like you're like right there in the zone.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were 40, half your age is 20, and then you add 7, so 27. 27 and 40, nobody's really going to complain about that. So, and I think that's pretty consistent all through adult years.
It's like, I just want people to wake up and realize that the system, by and large, is rigged against them.
Rigged against whom?
Both men and women, actually.
Okay.
Because, well, men, it's obvious. Like, we've been talking about this the whole time. Like, that chicks are completely, like, discounting guys for this and that, whatever dumb reason.
Sure.
And they're, I won't settle, blah, blah, blah. And so they get passed over, like these genuinely nice dudes, not exactly quality especially, but so that women can feel better, like they're doing the picking. But then again, it's actually women kind of screwing themselves over. They have to buy into this lie that like, oh, he's a nice, well put together dude. He's probably like, he doesn't play for our team, or whatever reason, he's probably a douchebag, whatever, like anything in the hearing of people, so that, the cutest one does end up going home with that guy, even though she was the one kind of perpetrating the whole thing, and all the chicks miss out. But they all buy into this rhetoric that there's the actual dudes who are stable and want to get things done and stuff. They're going to be out just to get you. And like the whole Frozen thing.
Oh,
pretty much.
You're saying the pervasive assumption that men are predatory and that they're villains.
Anything that they don't like, they're going to just villainize and just eliminate them from their like periphery
and their consideration.
Like, and then they wonder why there's not enough guys.
Sure.
Find this man.
Well, they're only looking for a certain caliber of dude. And it turns out that it takes a while for guys to become that caliber of dude. And when they've put in the work, are they looking for those women?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not.
But especially because those women are also too busy, because they've been lied to that they can have it all and they should go and pursue your career. You can look for a family or whatever later, maybe. And then they come to that same age category, that early to mid 30s, maybe. And then they're like, why can't I find a man? It's like, he was busy at the time that he was looking for you. Really?
Sure. And then like the average guys, they're readily available throughout their 20s, and you could have picked one of them.
But then any one of those you do find, again, with the vicious cycle.
Right. It's just kind of a weird deal, right?
And it's so funny that this like feminized society has become the norm now. Mm-hmm. We are not surprised now. Do not be surprised that we have a declining population.
Right. Well, what's the incentive to go ahead and have nuclear families nowadays when the society actively wants to destroy it? Mm-hmm. And I think that it is the opposite should be the case, is that our society thrives when we have strong nuclear families. But yeah. I mean, one of the core tenets of feminism when it was put out there was the stated objective was the end of the nuclear family. I think in a lot of ways they've done that in substituting government for fathers in a lot of families.
Somebody got to pay for these kids.
Someone's got to pay for these kids. So we talked about the shallow effect a little bit. And then in that last thing that you had explored, you hit a lot of the points that we were going to be talking about. We've got selection position insurance. Women want to be believed that they are the pickers. So one of the things that they do is they want to always be a mystery. And whenever a guy thinks that he's figured women out, they move the goalposts so they can be like, ha, you don't know anything about women. Stop trying to learn what we are. And they go ahead and shame the guys for trying to go ahead and learn how to pick up women.
Well, you've already talked about choreplay. before in the thing where
Yeah, don't
I
do
was
it.
working. I'm sorry.
None of this chore play
Working
business.
really. But this is the same thing where it's like, oh, the best foreplay is at the kitchen sink. Come do dishes with me. Come put away the groceries and all of this stuff that I have to do, but I really want to pawn half of it on you, even though this is my responsibility. That we probably agreed on. He does all of that. He does all the things. And then all of a sudden, well, you said this thing and I didn't like it, so no.
Yeah, I'm tired now. Oh, I have a headache now.
Yeah.
You got the Mary Poppins bags of excuses.
There was like, my left leg feels weird. It's like, we can stretch that out, baby.
Right? I mean, like, that's part of the fun is stretching them out, But anyway, like, we know that a lot of times it's just, hey, we're trying to go ahead and offload a portion of our responsibility and see what women could get away with, typically.
She can get away with.
Right? And so that's just a rough situation to establish because you end up commodifying intimacy unintentionally in your marital lifestyle. And then you also are likely to have trust degrade because more often than not, a lot of those promises are not going to get fulfilled. There's going to be something that comes out of the Mary Poppins bags of excuses for why things won't happen, even after he's done the things that she asked. Because let's be honest, the things that women want are not the things that they speak explicitly. It is things that they know internally and don't let out. Mm-hmm. Right? Like all those books in the book talk community, like they're not trying to get their vampires to do the dishes.
No.
They're trying to get them to do other things.
Throw them against the wall.
Hair pulling, all the things.
Yeah. But it's wild because, if you think about, we live in a fairy tale and all of that stuff.
The heck we do.
Well, the thing is that he's already earned that thing. If you're going to look at it as an exchange or a commodity, whatever, he's already earned it when he walked in the door after working all day.
Yes, with the assumption that you've got like 70-30 or more, where the guy is bearing the vast majority of the load.
Which is most households.
It's most households.
It's even most dual income households. It's like there's one person who's earning it more than the other one.
Substantially.
So it's just like, really? Well, I work too. It's like, again, do you pay my bills?
Yeah. Are you paying the bills or are the bills being paid for you? And then they'll go ahead and complain, oh, well, it's not all about money. It's about emotional load.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, well, if you are only bringing in like 20 or 30 grand and the dude is bringing in 90, do you really even need to be working? So you're spending 40 hours a week outside of the home to go ahead and have no energy for him and for your family when you're done. That's a terrible deal for everyone.
Another thing in that vein is like that whole mentality that his money is our money and my money is my money.
Oh yeah, that's just crazy.
And a lot of
it's a social convention though.
Yeah, that's how these are like, I'm saving for Disney. You're saving for it.
Because that's what you want to be doing.
Because it's what you want to do on your girls' trips and stuff like that. It's just like, how much are you really contributing to the family household even?
Right. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's some families where the dual income is going to responsible things and like they're using the entirety of the man's income to go ahead and deal with everyday expenses and the woman's income all goes to investing. But let's be really honest. How ubiquitous is that in our society?
It's such a rarity because that would also imply the greater concept that we've been talking about in the domain of long-term committed marriages.
Okay.
And families with a strong marriage as the foundation of it.
Okay. So talk a little bit more about that.
In that case where, he's making the most of the money, but she's also working, but they're also for the purpose of like investment or whatever, that is them working together for a common goal.
Sure.
That is them pulling together.
Right.
That is what you should be doing as far as in life, like the overarching purposes. If you have a goal, a financial goal, a spiritual goal, whatever, you are pulling together.
Now, I think in that circumstance where like they are pulling together, there is a lot more room for discussion and nuance in terms of the domestic tasks that need to be done.
And the same thing where, if he really wants to be Mr. Mom and he's okay with that and you've negotiated that and all of that. And
she's okay with it.
And she is okay going out and being the actual primary breadwinner. we're not saying anything about that, like against that. If that's what you've negotiated, you've discussed, and you were in agreement and you are going in the same direction, that is fantastic.
We just know that it's incredibly rare
But
that it
those
turns
things,
out
yeah,
well.
are so rare.
Right.
So rare. And you have to really nurture your relationship in the midst of that.
You know what's really interesting? So you bring that up, the whole like Mr. Mom thing. When you have a dual income household, the number one indicator of divorce in that dynamic is when the woman out earns the man. And if they were earning the same for a period of time, the most vulnerable 3 to 6 months is after she gets the promotion to go ahead and
After the scales tip.
just after the scales tip.
That's true. And that makes absolute sense because there is honestly a natural order to things, the way that it makes sense and the way that it works best. Because I think most of those, they just are just willy-nilly, I got to work and you got to work so we can pay the stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then it happens. They don't address it. They don't clock it on their radar. They don't take time to restructure, renegotiate how things are going to work.
Yeah, probably not together.
No.
But there's the hamster wheel is going in the back of the mind.
Exactly. Especially in the back of her mind. And then he won't understand it until all of a sudden he looks and he's just like, what?
And then all of a sudden she's
why do you not want to
late.
be with me? Like, why do you? Yeah, like I'm at work late. Mm-hmm, sure.
And then Steve from accounting is, banging on that door.
Punching her numbers. It's just like
These things
my
creep
gosh.
up.
Well, it reminds me a lot of when you retired from the military.
Okay.
And it was like I think we were a month out because we were at that convention, the homeschool convention, and we went out to dinner and I was just like, look, this is going to be a huge change in our lives. I need to know what this looks like. I was just like, I just want to ask you what you see and what your expectations are and kind of show you where I'm at with what I see. Mm-hmm. And it was mainly my thing was you were in the military, you signed the papers, I didn't. You like dedicated your entire life, and as you moved up into the leadership, there was a more and more of a demand on your time at all kinds of random times where you just like had to go put on your Captain America shield and go.
Right.
Happy 4th of July, by the way.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy Captain America Day. No, I'm kidding. I just wrote you that blank check for whatever you need. Go. Mm-hmm. I've got this. And then it was kind of like, okay, that's not a thing anymore.
Well, you tried to impose that as it's not a thing anymore.
I didn't try to impose it. I was just like, I'm not so comfortable anymore, just kind of whatever you need to do, because that was while you were in the military. I don't think that's how I'm seeing this.
Sure. But the way that you came at it is like you kind of came at it as a take it or leave it kind of thing. And that immediately met resistance.
Well, it's a normal thing to just be like, path of least resistance. This is just going to continue, right? Because you were already doing real estate in the time, you were already doing all these other entrepreneurial things.
Right.
So you were just like, I get more time to do all of this stuff.
Right.
I think it probably came off like, I'm not going to write you a blank check for all my whatever you need no more.
Yeah, it came off as indignancy.
It did. Yeah.
And so what I recognized is that you were really saying that you were feeling insecure and that you wanted stability and you wanted to know what the left and right boundaries would look like.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Right. I think that's
in a nutshell.
Right. I think that's where it was coming from. And the bottom line is I still have more or less a blank check, but I'm responsive to your needs.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, over the 5 years after I had retired, like, we had generated so much wealth in that period of time that it was crazy because I had the freedom to do the things.
Yes.
Right. And though you did not agree with it at the time, due to our natural roles and proclivities, I'm the long-term guy. You're the tactical person where you're looking at the here and now. And so I knew that without flexibility, I did not have the freedom to do the things that needed to be done for our family to be as secure as it is now.
But I think the biggest help to that effort was the fact that I pretty much got out of our way.
Right.
I pretty much was just like, I needed to just say this. I needed to speak, what I was seeing here. And then honestly, ultimately, I sat down and just sat down in the passenger seat and I followed along. Not all of it was comfortable, and not all of it was all hearts and sunshine and roses. And there were times where I was very worried for our family in general, but I was never worried about us.
Sure.
Because of that. And I was just like, you got this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm okay. It's scary, but I'm still here.
So that's interesting. There's a lot there.
There is a lot
We'll
there.
go ahead and we'll veer back onto topic. I think that society also gives a lot of social escape clauses to women. That when there's uncomfortable circumstances, there's a lot of just established frameworks that are known by and used by women writ large. Like, instead of just when a guy comes up to them and asks them out on a date, the idea of not like just outright rejecting them, like forcefully, but trying to go ahead and do it more subtly, like, oh, how about let's just be friends? Right? Let's just be friends is not a genuine offer. Let's just be friends is a rejection.
It is. They flex tape rejection.
You just slap it on.
I mean, the flood is still accumulating. That trouble is still happening. But you're just going to slap some flex tape on there and be like, it's fine. I can just get my stuff together and I'll try harder.
Oh, yeah, the guys.
Yes.
You're saying from the man's perspective. They go ahead and they accept it as a piece of flex tape for the sinking
He's
ship.
that one guy.
Sure. And they think, oh, let me just try harder and then she'll accept me.
And that just never happens. It just starts and it's...
Or it's incredibly rare that it happens.
Yeah, it is very rare. Don't come at me with your anecdotes and your, well, my friend's daughter's dog's aunt. You know, I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't care.
The exceptions don't disprove the rule.
I'm like, please don't snowflake out on me. That's what I'm going to call it now.
Snowflaking.
Just all the people snowflaking out on me.
But yeah, there's all kinds of conventions that are built in to help women escape from these things. So like when they're using pejorative terms like mansplaining and misogynist and all of this other stuff.
Narcissist.
Oh my gosh.
So that's your trigger word. It's like, trigger. No, I'm kidding.
No, not
like
really,
that.
because it's just
But
one
it's
of those
just
things.
like, oh.
It's something that's just thrown around willy-nilly.
Ben Affleck outside with a cigarette.
Something like that. Let's see. So this is the next thing is something that you had brought up when the cheerleader was getting with the eligible guy. And this is called the sexual competition sabotage, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you go ahead and badmouth the guy to your friends, but you're secretly trying to go ahead and get with him. So in their minds, you're trying to disqualify him as an option when you're really just trying to get it. And I think that that is something that's super wild.
The whole Mean Girls thing.
Right?
I love that skirt. Where'd you get it? That's the ugliest skirt I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
It's like, wow, how mean.
Well, you go ahead and just kind of gas
How
them up
sad.
in public, but in private, just taking the mask off and telling people something completely different.
Yeah. You're just like, oh, wow, you're so pretty. Not prettier than me, though.
Right.
That's
and
the subtext.
That's the subtext. We're not saying the quiet part loud. The subtext is the message, right?
The same thing that single women keep women single. So I love Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And when Donna went to the little like speed dating thing, she's like, I don't like that you're here. She's like, why? It's like, because you're hot objectively. And if you get that man, I do not get that man. That is it. If I can't have that, then no one can.
Sure. And it's interesting because within established friend groups, like a lot of times people will call dibs.
That's fine because that's a negotiation. That's being everything out on the table up front.
That's
pretty
up front.
much. I mean, pretty much.
And I think guys do this a lot too.
The whole wingman thing.
Sure.
He takes the ugly one.
He'll go ahead and take one for the team so that the other guy gets with the girl that he's looking for.
From a guy perspective, because he gets some. It's fine.
I guess.
And especially in those times where they're still busy doing stuff, building it. They're there for the good time.
Right. And they're not established yet.
Yeah. They're just taking care of themselves and they just, okay, this is fine. But there's also this quid pro quo.
the
quid pro quo with guys.
Yeah.
I'll get the next one.
Or
Negotiation again.
Say if two guys are interested in the same girl and dude one goes ahead and tries to go for it to start, and dude two is like, well, I really kind of want to try, but I'm going to wait for dude one to go ahead and fail. And dude one fails, and then dude two is like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and try now. And dude one's like, no, I think I have a thing going with this one. Dude two, it's really on him to be like, bro, you ain't got a chance on this one. Let me go ahead and try to handle this. And I think it's that guys tend to be more honest with each other.
Yeah.
Right? Because
I believe that.
You can say heinous things to a guy
well,
in your guy friend
like
group.
Worst comes to worst, you guys beat the crap out of each other and then you like go have a beer.
Sure. But I mean, like, we could say the most heinous stuff to each other and still be friends with each other.
Yeah.
Whereas girls, a lot of times, they'll say something and then all of a sudden they'll be hating each other for a week.
Well, not even that. It's like, oh, yeah, uh-huh. And then they're like, oh, my gosh, did you hear what she said? That was, like, the nastiest thing ever. I hate her.
And then you hold it against her.
Or, you know, they'll just pretty much character assassinate and get them out of there. Mm-hmm. If they don't like it that much.
Sure. So let's go ahead and move off of operant social conventions and onto conventions that are held by average frustrated chumps. The average guys that just aren't really getting anywhere in life, and they think that they should be doing so much better, but in reality, they haven't put in the work to be an eligible bachelor. So the first thing is the myth of a quality woman. A lot of times, there is a misguided premise where they see somebody and they're infatuated with them, rather than taking an objective look at the different character qualities they possess and all the whole package. They'll act as if they've shot the target and made a bullseye, but what really happened is they shot an arrow. Wherever it hit the wall, they painted a bullseye around it. They're like, yes, I got this one. This one's the best one because I got it.
And then crow about it.
About
how awesome
exactly.
they are. Yeah, that's the kicker right there.
That is the kicker, is they think that they got it right on the money because they had painted the bullseye around wherever they shot and happened to land.
So when we listened to like the source material and we were talking about it and stuff, it made me think the biggest thing that I've seen lately, especially as I've been doom scrolling, is the way that these women talk about, you know, a man, you know, all of these chivalrous things like opening doors or like paying for dinners on dates and all of that stuff. They are like, yeah, that's how a man should be. I was like, yeah, that's a gentleman. It's like Gone with the Wind, where it's like, you're no gentleman and you're no lady. And we have all these men and they expect them to be a gentleman. But honestly, by and large, they're not a lady.
Oh, man. This thing blew up a couple of months ago where Andrew Wilson was on not Jordan Peterson. It's the British guy that has a podcast. Piers Morgan. That's the guy. And it was Tommy Loren was on the panel. So she's a right of center. And, you know, she was mentioning everything about chivalry and the kind of duties that men owe to society and men owe to women specifically. And then Andrew was like, okay, well, what duties and roles do women have to men and to the society writ large? And she just lost her mind. And she was just like, we don't owe you anything. You owe us everything.
No.
And they just went down the rabbit hole. And there was a lot of back and forth for the better half of a month over that.
The social graces of a gentleman should only be given to those who act like ladies. He opens the door, you say thank you, and you walk through it. But if there's like a double door situation, you stop and let him open the next one.
That is one way to do it.
It's so subtle that it's easy to miss.
Right.
But that is the subtle way that he's telling you that he's leading, and you signal to him that you are following.
And that you appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right? It is subtle. And I mean, obviously, you're going to go ahead and provide the thank you and the gratitude and all that. But a lot of times, people in society have no gratitude, no grace, nothing but expectation. And they come to the table with nothing but their audacity.
So, like, if you are just in passing you just thank them for that and, go on your merry way. But if it's somebody that you're with, you will do that on a consistent basis. You will wait for the signal of where you're supposed to sit at the table. If you're walking down the street and there's like, a man should be over here on the traffic side and you should be protecting us. Well, yeah, but then you don't walk ahead. You actually have to, in that scenario, you need to walk a little bit behind.
And
like
to the
just
side.
like that is how that should work. Rather than there's a chick who's just like, oh, I gotta like bob and weave in all these people, so I'm gonna go over here, and then you end up ahead of him, and it's like, that is not the way that works.
Well, right. And
there are subtleties to this.
Sure. And in a bobbing and weaving kind of context, the best place to stand usually is right behind him.
Yeah.
So that he can go ahead and create a funnel for you to walk through. But these things are really subtle, and a lot of people will not recognize them because they haven't been raised with it, and they haven't seen how to properly act when this gentlemanly conduct is being portrayed for them. Right? So there's all this expectation of receiving, but no idea of how to return the gesture and no idea of how to truly follow that lead.
Yeah. But even the same people who say, oh, they should, do all this stuff for us, blah, blah, blah. Then they'll turn around and go, I don't need a man. Any man who's trying to do that is trying to control me. Actually, no. It is of a lady's own volition that she chooses who she's going to follow.
Right.
I don't see how that's like so controlling and like you're just a robot and all that Stepford Wives stuff. It's interesting to me that, and this is how a feminized society is just working its black magic on everything and just.
It's weaving its tendrils into everything.
It is. It's just poisoning the water.
Right. And the thing is, you want all the good things, but then you don't know how to react or you don't know how to act positively when it is being portrayed for you. Right. And that's sad. Mm-hmm. Right. Because you expect a man to provide and protect and lead you, but you don't want to follow those things.
Then I'm going to go wear a handkerchief across my chest out to the club.
Right.
Or even out to dinner with him. And when
he doesn't
says,
say,
I'm not very comfortable, he won't even think to say anything that critiques, how dare you tell me what to wear? You're so controlling. Or how dare you, try to shame me for what I'm wearing? It's like, ma'am, if you are following the lead, then follow. Right. That's part of that.
And I would say if you're the guy in that circumstance and you're expressing displeasure with how she's displaying herself in public, maybe you shouldn't be in that relationship.
Just like we've encountered couples out and then you ask them, you going to put up with that?
Yeah, like, what are you putting up with that for?
The blank stare on their face, like they didn't even know they had a choice.
Well, because they're so browbeaten over years.
It's the feminized society has just taken over their brains. It's like this is where everybody's plugged into this matrix. The matrix is feminized society.
Yeah. I mean, that is a thing.
Where are my sunglasses? Neo.
Neo, I need to tell you about the Matrix. Going back to the idea of the myth of the quality woman and just saying, hey, like, whatever I can get becomes a quality woman is not indicative of what it is, right? That's just what you can get, not necessarily that they're a quality woman. Don't get me wrong. They could be a quality woman.
That's great.
Doesn't mean that, hey, if you're like this average guy and the first woman that lets you go ahead and touch her, in no-no places,
the naughty parts.
In the naughty parts. It doesn't mean that the first person that lets you touch the naughty parts is the right person.
Yeah.
Come on. Get some experience, guys. Understand what's actually going on here.
These the same women who talk about being a stripper.
Okay.
And how you're so empowered and you're owning your sexuality and all of this stuff. But then they turn around and when dudes look at what's right in front of them, they're being victimized. They're being objectified.
It's like you're making yourself into an object on purpose for pay.
Like, where's the buffer wheel right here?
Because they don't put two and two together. They don't realize that transacting their beauty and their sexuality, it is objectifying themselves on purpose.
Yeah, that is literally transactional. Literally.
Let's go ahead and move on to the myth of the dodged bullet. So this is where you ask a woman out and she rejects you. you go, oh man, I dodged a bullet right there, to go ahead and make yourself feel better.
Is this like the pop balloon thing?
Oh, this is like the pop balloon thing where you're not a quality catch and you get upset that everybody's popping the balloons on you. But to make yourself feel better, you say, well, I dodged a bullet by not taking any of you out anyway.
It's interesting because when we were talking about this beforehand, and then I deliberately went seeking after like a series of those videos, pretty much all of them where it was like the women standing there and they brought the guy out, instantly you hear like at least 2 of them.
Well, I mean, that goes back to the whole women finding so many men unattractive.
And then I don't believe I saw that same behavior when the roles were reversed.
I think that goes back to the feminine social order. Is like,
I mean, there were like one maybe in a video where she started talking, and then he was just like, nope.
well,
And I'm like,
that's how
there
it is.
you go. It's like, oh, she's so pretty. And then she started talking.
And then she opened her mouth, and then all of a sudden, it was gone. There was nothing left there.
It's like the South Park, and it's gone.
And it's gone. We've got the myth of other guys. Oh, I'm not like these other guys. I'm not like those assholes that go ahead and treat you poorly. And they go on social media or go throughout their lives and virtue signal how they're, such a good feminist to go ahead and win brownie points with women that have not been paying attention to them at all.
And these are usually the ones who turn into white knights.
Yeah, and then they hit up the comment section and go, not all women are like this. It's like, well, you'd be surprised how many. But hey, if you just don't have the experience, you wouldn't know, I guess.
It's like, and right now, who are you in the friend zone for?
Right. That's really the thing is like, hey, who is it that you're orbiting? Does she even register all of these virtue signals? Chances are she does, and it puts you further and further in the friend zone.
I'd love a study on that. How many people
man,
who
how
do
would you even
white
go
knight
about-
behavior? I know, you wouldn't. And it would be all self-report, so it would be all, the data would all be
pseudoscience.
skewed. But like, I've been out in the world and on the internet enough to know. I'm like, these people, who are you in the friend zone for? Chances are there's at least one.
One of the things that goes on with this whole not being like other guys deal is they're practically assured that they'll get agreeable behavior from the women because they're making themselves not a threat.
Yeah.
So just because you aren't dangerous doesn't mean that it's a virtue to be that way. I would say that it's better to be a dangerous lion who chooses not to put that danger out into effect in the world than it is to be a kitten that can't be dangerous. Whereas a lot of these guys are much more content to be kittens than lions.
This whole thing to me is so gross. It's just gross.
Well, tell me
I'm gonna
about
say
that.
it. It's gross. Because this whole thing about, oh, I'm not like the other guys. Again, you are subjecting yourself to her metrics.
Right.
Her metrics. Feminized society. The whole thing.
And you put her on a pedestal, and all of her needs come before yours.
And pandering like this just feeds into this, like, almost, for the average modern woman, like this toddler-like need for attention. And this is where the shaming comes from. It's like, you didn't give me attention, I'm going to throw a tantrum about it.
Or you gave me the wrong kind of attention.
You didn't do what I wanted to do, so I'm going to sit here and
Be mean and be mad and go ahead and use all these shame words and guilt you into going ahead and doing the things I want to do.
It's really funny because our daughter actually, the young kid, 4 or 5 years old tendency to do this kind of thing where it's like, I didn't like that and I'm going to go over here now. I don't want to play with you anyway. And our eldest son said, why are you such a whammon?
That is hilarious.
I was deceased for a second there. I just fell out. I was like, I'm going to go over here and just go, oh my God, that was so funny.
And he just came up with it.
And it's become this thing where we've actually all used it, especially because being who I am and educating the way I educate, like I'm trying to show my kids that no matter what you are seeing, you are being inundated with culture and different subtextual messages. So, like those things where they have the husband in the doghouse again, and she's like popping off all this stuff. And my daughter is even like, why are they such whammons? I was like, okay. Just out here existing. And then here she comes with that. And I was like, since doing this especially, there's a lot of whammons happening.
Oh, yeah. All over the place, especially in the comment sections. Are you the target audience? No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But don't worry about it. You know, you got to go ahead and just push your influence because men's only spaces, you can't have that anymore. We just got to go ahead and have women infiltrating the Boy Scouts and all this other thing.
Well, even, you know, at the gym where it's like, oh, did you need some help with that weight? Do you need me to spot you? I have a boyfriend. Okay.
It's like, first of all, didn't ask.
I wasn't asking.
Cool. I'm just going to go over here.
It's like, fine.
Stop harassing me. And you're like, I'm just trying to get a workout in. And you looked like you were struggling. But there's just so much social pressure to go ahead and put all this stuff out there on social media that you have these women that are going to the gym intentionally trapping guys into this, which is a whole other can of worms.
I've seen one where it's like, let's see how many men harass me today.
Yeah, that's the premise for the video.
And she set up like a tripod on the floor, and she actually acted like she was struggling with weights and stuff like that.
Sure. Did she have the low-cut top and the booty shorts
She
and all
put
that?
a counter up, and I was like, this is disgusting. Like, ew. Like, ew. I was born and raised in L.A., like, ew.
Right, but anyway, but the thing is, if you looked in that comment section, you see all these women going ahead and...
Oh, they're so nasty. Oh, that's so gross. It's so cringe. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, it just goes to show, like, the social programming that's going on.
Yeah. Feminized society is sort of like, it's its own system that is a given. It's now the default system.
Yeah, it's assumed that the primary concern for everything should be women's feelings and emotions.
Like in the scientific world, like you don't have to do any kind of arguments for evolution. Macro evolution.
Well, sure. It's just a given, right?
It's just a thing, right? It's just a thing. Also, guys, don't use evolution and stuff like that as your like basis of why you do what you do. Please don't do that. It's weird. But feminized society, because again, you don't need to explain your biology. People should already know. That's why I'm just like, people should already know what biology is and why we do what we do.
Oh.
Like, that's just biology. It's not evolutionary whatever.
Yeah, but you see people constantly trying to fight against biology.
Well, this very thing is fighting against biology.
Okay.
Like, guys need to go out and do things and go slay dragons and come home and be appreciated and, you know, have a rest before they have to go do it all over again.
Right.
Like, the most populated career paths that are service in nature, supportive in nature, they're occupied by women.
Like HR, secretaries,
like,
nurses,
social
things
workers. Like, this is biology at work right here out in the world.
Sure.
And that is why, by and large, men make more money. Because they're out there wanting to do all the things and put themselves at risk.
They do more dangerous jobs and more scalable jobs.
Safe jobs don't pay as much. There's not all that OSHA hazard pay to help you, you know, bring home the bacon.
Sure.
So it's interesting that we don't talk about that. We just talk about the effects of it rather than the root issues. Like root causes, like nobody's going to go that deep. They're just going to look and see and like, we don't make enough money. We need to get paid more. No, you don't. Because you're not out in a cherry picker with dangerous electrical wires. You're not. In a storm.
Sure. Or the value of your labor doesn't justify the increase in pay. And I think that a lot of people don't really look at how they contribute to an enterprise as a basis for their pay. They just go ahead and think that pay just comes out of nowhere. It's as if a company is some kind of piñata. You just go ahead and whack it and see what comes out.
Well, just like in our business where it's like, oh, you guys charge too much for blah, blah, blah. It's like, do you see all these people? Do you see these lights? Ostensibly, your social justice spidey senses tell you that people should make a living wage. That's how that happens.
Right. So we go ahead and provide adequate training, wages, and all kinds of wonderful things for our
Yeah,
employees.
health and wellness and stuff. We have a reimbursement program. It's amazing.
But on the flip side of that, they end up with better customer service, better quality selection, and a lot of things, right? Price is not the primary determinant. And I think that in most businesses that focus on price to the exclusion of other things, there are corners that are being cut to make that happen. But that's neither here nor
Nobody
there.
wants to talk about that. See, like nobody wants to talk about all of the stuff that goes into making a thing rather than they just want to like moan and complain.
Well, I think this goes back to the women's social order because generally speaking, women don't care about men's struggles. All they want to do is go to the finish line and pick the winner.
Like that one chick who got roasted for like a moment of silence for men's mental health. And she was playing loud music and dancing.
Oh, okay. Sure. I mean, that's somewhat similar.
But it's just like that kind of thing where it's like,
Well, it's just openly disrespectful you're talking about?
she thought that the coven was going to get behind her, rally around her, and that's what we did. Whereas she didn't notice that. It's like, I don't know if you noticed, but you're releasing this on the internet where there's more than just the coven of women.
Yeah, and she got roasted like
Hard,
crazy.
yes.
And then eventually, when you have enough men that have a united voice, then you start seeing a lot of the women go ahead and start following along.
Yep.
And so things are all well and good once the coven can go ahead and circle around, and then you've got some of these betas that'll go ahead and follow along with them. We got a whole story on that one later. But yeah, you see that a lot. So we talked about different things that average frustrated chumps use as social conventions to kind of like appease themselves and get them to feel a little bit better and keep their mind off of, hey, I should be improving, I should be climbing mountains and slaying dragons, but instead I would rather just hang out in the tavern and drink. Hey, look, there's a time and a place for that, but you got to do both things. The next thing is the paradox of commitment. So the first thing is how it's a double-edged sword, where you'll shame dudes for not wanting to commit, and then once you get the guy to commit, then you shame him for not doing everything that you want him to do. And by the time he wants to get out, you just keep trying to shame him to keep him there. Whereas I think that a lot of self-respecting dudes are much better off going where they're wanted rather than trying to go ahead and stick it out when they're consistently being guilted and abused and insulted and all of this.
This reminds me of a lot of women who will talk about being in a relationship and the guy cheating on them and all of that. Nobody really, especially when it comes to women. Like I hear this about when men, like they go out on a date and whatever, and the woman gets ghosted. Mm-hmm. And that's stupid. And he's a loser anyway. The whole, like all of that.
Sure.
Oh, he must be a loser. He did that. But when like we were talking about the whole like three guys, the Tom, Dick, and Harry thing.
Yeah.
Where the guy was going to go out with this chick and she ghosted him for a better offer.
Yeah, and she didn't have the courtesy to cancel the date. She just let it happen.
Because she's just trying to get what she can get.
She's just a girl. She can't be accountable for that.
There is, yeah, this is where it really comes out, especially in the realm of ghosting. But like cheating was just terrible. But ghosting, it's not that bad, especially when it's a woman doing it.
Well, that's just the idea of giving women a pass for poor behavior. Whereas dudes will get lambasted. And like rightfully so, too. Like I think that
it's all gross behavior, like all of it.
I think it's really important to go ahead and get dudes on the straight and narrow when they're messing up. Dudes do a really good job of holding each other accountable, especially within their friend group, if you've got good friends. Whereas a lot of times the women will want to jump on the bandwagon, but that same energy is not applied in the reverse.
Well,
where
if women cheat, they're like, but he wasn't meeting my needs. I tried so hard. There's all these justifications, like a litany of justifications. Whereas like a guy was like, yep, I did that. That's it.
Sure. Well, and not only if the guy does it, the society will lambaste him regardless.
Yeah. If he goes and does that thing where he's like, she didn't come my way, didn't look my way for like 2 years. Like the whole thing where the guy was filing for divorce and he hadn't got anything for 2 years. I was like, you're about a year and a half late on this. What?
Right?
I wouldn't have waited that long if I were a dude.
Yeah, absolutely not. But hey, you've got different people that look at commitment in different ways. And I think that that's one of the things about the social order putting these double standards on the guy's side of the commitment, which is interesting because men are gatekeepers of commitment and women are gatekeepers of intimacy, right? You go ahead and shame him into commitment and you shame him into keeping his commitments, which ends up just, what's the point?
When modern men and women look at a traditional relationship and they look at this commitment, especially through the lens of like a wife, they'll see it as like this weird form of slavery.
Sure. Well, they want to paint it a picture that way. And they just want to go ahead and shame the idea because they see it as an affront to their way of living. But they discount the fact that there are two really important things that come with an effective traditional relationship. One, there's usually genuine burning desire from the woman to the man, and there is mutual respected exchange of energy and effort and all the things to not only create that, but to maintain it. And so a lot of times the effort that dudes put in are not appreciated by the social order, whereas everything that a woman does is lauded and praised if it's within like women's best interest. One of the things that is ubiquitously handled completely differently for women than it is for men is when a woman starts making money, a lot of times she will go ahead and scream from the hilltops that she's independent and she's a boss babe. And the question to ask that is never asked is independent of who? The subtext is independent of men. However, if you were to take that same attitude from a man, and the man starts making money and he says, I'm independent. Society says, who fucking cares? You're an adult. That's what you're supposed to do. It's like a given.
Yeah.
Right?
Nobody cares.
Normally what happens is when a guy starts making money and he can go ahead and finance a good lifestyle, he's like, where can I find a queen? Where can I go ahead and start building a family? Because he has the means to support others. Whereas women out in the society are, I am now independent. And those are completely different mental frames.
Yeah. And then who from? From men. To what end? For
What
what
do you
purpose?
think? What do you think?
For themselves.
Well, there you go.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas men talk about, I've done this thing, so now I can take on a wife and a family.
Right. It's been that way
It's like,
for ages.
but we want a feminized society.
We have it right now.
I know. How's this working for us? How's that working for you?
Sure. And so I think we talked about the paradox of commitment quite a bit. And we hit like really the high points of this idea.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and hit the last bit. Bitter misogynist. Right? So you've got three elements. You got the protector dynamic, you've got whiners and losers, and you got the fact that there is no going back. So to start, the protector dynamic. So it is automatically posed to men that go against the feminine social order in any way, that they're misogynists, they're incels, they are small dick energy, all these shaming language and shaming tactics to go ahead and put onto guys for when they say things that they don't like and they don't appreciate.
Whether or not it's a preposterous thing to put on a person or not.
Oh, yeah.
Like calling you an incel.
Like, it is completely crazy, right?
And calling me a pick-me.
It's like, first of all, you've been picked.
I got picked. I don't need to pick me.
And I get laid well and often. So it's like, I'm not worried about it. I'm perfectly fine in this. But the point isn't whether it's true or false. The point is to go ahead and shame somebody into it. Well, I mean, what are you talking about? Projection?
It's like, shame you. This is more about you.
Right, but the society doesn't see it that way.
Because it usually comes in when they try and like spout their rhetoric, parrot it, what they've already heard. They're just mimicking what they've heard, whether or not they really have taken time to think about it. Mm-hmm. And they'll say it louder and more often. Mm-hmm. And when that doesn't work, then we've got this. But the thing is, that your logic is flawed and you know it.
I think that most of them don't know it. I think it is something that is operating in the back of their mind and they don't recognize it consciously.
Again, it's the programming. It's the matrix.
Right. But I think it's because so few people take the time to actually understand why they believe what they believe with any level of depth. You'll see people in the comment section just kind of spouting out a 1 or 2 sentence like lazy phrase or lazy insult to kind of express their displeasure.
Just a drive by, and they don't even like think about it at all anymore.
Sure.
They're like,
and then,
I've done my good deed for the day.
right? Or you have people in the comments section that are like, I demand this study. And it's like, look, first of all, you can go ahead and look it up.
There's
and
this thing called Google.
Right. And I don't owe it to you. I don't owe you a response, right? Especially when you're going to go ahead and comment something so negatively. What's
Like,
even the point?
You don't even come correct. You're just gonna start blah, 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 like a flurkin, like splat out the tentacles from your mouth already.
But I think that a lot of times people have been trained that this is acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And because of the social programming at hand, we believe that people's feelings matter over what reality is.
And when it comes to that, and it's like just spouting like vitriol and grossness like at a rando on the internet, it's just like, where are your parents? Who taught you this?
Well, the answer more often than not
Did you kiss your mother with that mouth?
The answer more often than not in that circumstance is, where is your parent? And like, it sucks to say that, but it's true.
And maybe they both didn't come back from getting the milk.
Yeah, I think that's a more rare circumstance than like single parenthood in our current society. True. But just the idea that, hey, if you're not protecting the feminine social order and you're out of step with it, that everybody should pile on. All the white knights and harpies should come and get you.
They'll just try and rip you apart. But for me,
or cancel you or whatever.
This goes back to, again, we're talking about white knights, so this goes back to, I'm not like the other guys.
Oh yeah,
I'll come and defend you and your social order, and I'll come kowtow at the dais and on the altar of feminism.
Please accept my offering of my white knighting and my virtue signaling. Please.
Give action now?
For to have sex, please. Can I? That's kind of like what it is. It's just like, and clearly that doesn't work. Or if it does work,
it's by dumb luck.
It's a 2 a.m. drunken mistake.
Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m.
Well, it depends. I mean, there's some plenty of good things.
Out on the cold streets.
Oh, out on the cold streets. Okay, fair enough.
Not in my house.
Yeah, right? Hey, we stay up late, so that's just what it is. Anyhow, so that was the protector dynamic. And then Whiners and Losers. All right. So there's this story that you had brought to my attention about this Survivor Island reality show. How there were a couple of instances of this. One where it was the men against the women, and the men just like slaughtered them the first time. And so within the first 6 days, they were almost ready to call it because some of the women were having like medical issues.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the first time they went ahead and did this experiment. So they did another show, and this time, here's how it kind of went, is the men were against the women, and the men were just like wrecking them because they had good organization, good communication, and all of these things. And later on, the women started noticing that they were dropping out. So what they ended up doing is they went to infiltrate with the betas and seduce them and give them the idea that, oh, if you join with us, we won't vote you out, and we'll make sure that we can get rid of those guys together. Because the betas were like, yeah, they were a part of the winning team, but they weren't the stars, right? And so what ended up happening is the betas went ahead and joined along with the women, and they backstabbed the alphas and started voting them out one at a time. And eventually, the women voted most of the alphas out. They backstabbed the betas and started voting them out. And so there you go. That's how the women won in that circumstance, because the guys were so busy white knighting and virtue signaling and succumbing to the feminine wiles of the women instead of standing tall and being part of the winning team. They fell and they got backstabbed as a result of it.
Average frustrated chump.
Yeah,
Chump
chumps
is the operative word there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we talked about operate social conventions like calling dudes shallow for having preferences, where it's totally acceptable and reasonable for women to have any level of different preferences, to shame dudes for wanting younger women or wanting women that aren't single moms or wanting women that don't have this high pressure career that they have to maintain. We also talked about how a lot of times there is just this aura around frustrated chumps where they'll just do crazy things to make themselves feel better about not achieving the things that they wish that they could, but don't want to put in the work to achieve. Then we talked about how commitment is simultaneously valued and disdained, where they'll go ahead and shame men into committing and then shame men into staying committed. And then we talked about how if you're not on board with maintaining the feminine social order, the harpies and the white knights will come to get you.
Yeah.
And judging by the comment section in recent React videos, I'm sure that we're going to have a bunch of people getting all kinds of rustled jimmies over this.
Yeah, the last one about there's no going back.
Oh, right. There's no going back, because once you go ahead and see reality for what it is, if you were to go ahead and take the red pill and start doing all the things that you need to do to improve,
Unplug from the matrix.
and you unplug from the matrix and start working on your game, if you ever decide that you want to get your foot off the gas in a way to go ahead and re-plug back into the matrix, it's never going to be the same, because you'll know the truth and you'll know what's going on. And deep down inside, even though you're having all these outward actions to try to fit in, it'll eat you up inside.
So there was a quote that don't wish that you were better.
Yeah, that's a Jim Rohn quote that was referenced quite a few times in the source material.
He's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
My kids like him too. We listened to him a lot when we were going places. It was funny. For me, it's like, yeah, on the surface, that should be the thing. But honestly, if you look under the surface, it's like from an idealistic point of view, it's like, no, I do wish things were easier, because this is not the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
This feminized society is not the way it should be. And we won't get there in our lifetime, I would imagine. We're trying. We're just doing our best, right?
Yeah, we're doing our part.
We're doing our best here.
Right.
But I wish it were easier for guys, because I think a lot of people that have like minimum alpha like energy, they're getting betafied.
Sure.
They're getting beaten down into this wishy-washy society that's in here. And they could do a lot more things. And I think that is where we had, when like the 30s, 40s, 50s, even like 60s, up until the sexual revolution, like those guys were making it in the world and doing things that they would not do today. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be able to, because of the culture that we are kind of being essentially oppressed by.
Okay. Are you talking about like the whole, it's very difficult to do the two or the one income household kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right. Where like back in the day, if you worked 60 hours a week in a factory, you could go ahead and afford a reasonably modest house and to raise a family on.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, that's just not reality.
You have to raise your alpha game almost exponentially to be able to outdrive the social order that's put in place today.
Something else to consider is I think a lot of guys are afraid to stick out, because the guys that stand up and cast a shadow are the guys that are going to get attacked.
They'll get beat back down if they're not resilient enough.
Well, and I'm not sure that it's just like a matter of solo resilience. Oh. I think a lot of times it's because you don't have a band of brothers to win life with.
I would love to see that. I would love to see more guys get together, not just to, shoot the ish and hang out together, but to really talk about, you can do all those things, but make like this kind of pact to help each other be better, to help each other level up and do more.
And I think that with the advent of the internet, it's a lot easier to do that in some ways and more difficult in others, because guys, we go ahead and we interact side to side, right? And a lot of times we need to be with each other to do that, right? Whereas women will go ahead and interact face to face. And a lot of that can be done over the phone or through text and all of these things. While it is easier now to find a community of men to band together and tackle life with, it is harder to take the time and implement that in real life. That would be a challenge that I would give to the audience, is if you're a dude and you're in your early 20s and you're trying to figure out life, find 3 other dudes to form a party to fight the challenges of the world together.
Go on a quest together.
Go on a quest together, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way to weather the storms of life as you're growing into the man and the hero that you want to be.
I definitely wish that for a lot of guys, to find your people and to get together and help each other win.
Right. Well,
And girls, be a lady. Be a lady, which means you are okay with the S word.
which one?
Submission.
Submission?
Mm-hmm. When you find a guy who's wants to lead, who's
Competent.
got hopes and dreams and ambitions and stuff like that, and don't sit here and say, well, after I build my career and all that stuff. No. If you like where he's going, if you like what's happening over here, get on board. You can do your stuff along the way. But if you find that kind of guy,
Get while the getting's good.
yeah,
Right?
hop in the passenger seat.
Right? Because if you go ahead and wait till your 30s, the class of 25 is biting at your ankles. So
Sad but true.
That's the feminine social order for you. Man, that's a lot. We're going to go ahead and do our best to continue to fight and to make our way through this, because we know that there's a lot of people that are very quick to want to shout down this kind of behavior and to shout down this kind of message.
We're in your corner.
Well, not in the people that are trying to shout us down.
No, not those. People are getting shouted at.
Well,
Trying to be better.
yeah.
Be better, do better. We're in your corner,
Yes.
not the other ones.
Anyways, find your band of brothers, go ahead and find a mountain, slay the dragon, bring home treasure, enjoy. Hey, if you liked what you saw, we would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button, hit subscribe, and tap on that notification bell so that you can be notified when new things come up.